guys, welcome to the Couch Buddies. I'm DJ.
And I am Blade. And what a nice week we had. And what do we have here again? A very nice Couchisode. See, DJ, what I did there?
Oh,
No
yeah,
mistakes.
I
See?
yeah, yeah. I'm
Couchisode.
gonna I, I'm gonna cry today
Oh, yeah.
because you're being mean.
This was
You're being
emotional.
very mean. Yes.
So, we're back for yet another week to talk about a lot of mold. And you're like, what?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of mold.
Yeah.
And this is an expression of our beloved Couch Buddy that is not yet here with us today, but I'm sure that he will make an appearance sometimes. But enough about Quake. Tell us, Blade, what are we going to do today? Because I think it's going to be something spectacularly new.
Yeah, we're going to do something very different from the last few Couchisodes. And we're going to talk about games this time. That sounds
We're
good.
going to talk about games, and wow, so fun.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
it
let's
is.
do something
Yes, we will
even
do it.
a lot different than before. We'll start with DJ.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
we'll start with
okay,
you.
okay, fine.
So give it to us.
I
Come on.
wasn't ready. All right. Thank you, Blade. We're going to talk about a classic for me today, and let's travel back to a couple of years ago. I mean, a couple decades ago, actually. And we're going to talk about Moonstone from 1991 that was released for Amiga. The year is 1991, and the acclaimed publisher Mindscape, which is known for releasing great classics for the NES, such as The Paperboy in '88, The Prince of Persia in '89, and Sim Earth in 1990, brings us Moonstone, a sword combat game with a very characteristic theme that any medieval fan will certainly acknowledge. The game kicks off immediately with a very intriguing and shadowy opening track that onsets the ethereal based story of the title. Every 1000 years, the druids would gather to perform a ritual to celebrate the Moonstone season. This ritual would call upon a great power that could be cast upon a worthy warrior. This warrior could achieve such greatness by finding the four Moonstone keys. These keys would these keys would give you the access to the Valley of the Gods, where one last time you would prove your might and your worthiness of such a warrior. But of course, you're not alone. The three other warriors on this quest will also fight you to death to be cast with this power. Moonstone's gameplay is blends several different genres and allowing you up to four players to participate in a basic turn-based game with real-time combat for any of the encounters. It is also notable that this game is one of the goriest of its time, with some particularly bloody fight and death scenes. The player takes on the role of a chosen knight who is sent by druids to return to the mystical Moonstone to Stonehenge. The game supports between 1 and 4 players at once, with the computer controlling any knights not controlled by human players as rival NPCs. Gameplay consists basically of two distinct modes: turn-based exploration and real-time combat. In turn-based mode, each player can move a limited distance on the game's world map and visit various locations. Players will mostly visit the many dolmens that are scattered across the map. These places represent areas guarded by monsters. Visiting these dolmens will trigger the second main gameplay mode, which is the real-time combat. Players take control of their chosen knights and attempt to defeat the monsters using sword fight combat similar to games like Barbarian the Ultimate Warrior or Sword of Sodan. I'm not sure if you heard about these games, but they are. I tried them because they were references here, and yeah, indeed, they are similar. Defeating these monsters rewards the player with treasures from that location. Success will also result in gaining experience points. These can be distributed into one of three abilities: Strength, Constitution, Endurance. The required amount of XP needed to advance varies according to the number of human-controlled characters. This, combined with some powerful weapons that can be discovered or bought, can boost the player's abilities. However, the difficulty of the game increases, from time to time to compensate. The game's objectives is to find the lair that holds one of the four keys. The player who gathers together all the four keys, either by finding them or stealing them from rivals, will have access to the Valley of the Gods at the center of the map. The knight will have to fight against the guardian in order to win a moonstone, and the moonstone corresponds randomly to a lunar phase, and he grants the knight more power during that phase. The moonstone must be returned to Stonehenge for the game to be completed. After some days, the dragon will appear on the map, and this is the funny part where the game starts getting really difficult. He will make regular sweeps across the land. In the event that an unskilled player is unfortunate enough to encounter the dragon earlier on the game, the defeat is almost inevitable. Defeating this dragon is not mandatory, but when he appears, you will have to fight it, and there is no way to get out of it, to dodge this bullet. If he flies to you, you have to fight him. The dragon usually holds the best loot in the game that will provide you with essential upgrades for you for the final battle with the Guardian of the Moonstone. However, I suggest that you try to steer away from this path on initial stages because it can pretty much one-shot kill you if you don't have the right equipment or the right gear. There's also 2 cities in the map that will allow you to buy new gear. You can also pay a shaman to heal you up, and you can also gamble. If you lose all your lives in the process, then you can actually return to your hometown and gain 3 extra lives in the process. So, again, Blade, a very nice game that I played a lot during this. I'm not sure if I played it back when it got released. I think I did play it a couple of years later. Amazing game. It's a very gory game. I mean, you could stab your sword on a guy, and then you would see.
You got me
You would
very
hear.
curious to try it out. Seriously, I
You could
didn't know
hear
the game.
actually this. You could hear actually the sound effects doing a when the blood was gushing out of the guy's guts.
Yeah, but
It
the
was
audio on the Amiga was fabulous.
the PC version actually retained all of it. To be honest,
Seriously?
I don't see a lot of differences because this game comes out on PC. I believe in. Let me check. I think it was in 1992. It was one year
Okay.
later. I mean, yeah, I don't think you had. I think you had already Sound Blaster and FM emulation back then on PCs, although not for every pocket. I remember that myself. I only had a sound card in like I don't know, maybe 1993 or 1994. Can't really remember that well. I used to have a friend of mine, a neighbor, that he actually had the Sound Blaster Pro, I believe,
Yeah,
and
that's the
that
first one
was
I
that I
bought for
usually
mine.
yeah, that's what I was usually go to play these games and check it out how it looked like. Again, it's a very good game. You will like it. It has a very even to this day the playability and the sword fighting of this game is very spectacular. It aged very well. So
I need to try it out.
please give it a
Really.
try. Please give it a try because it's really
No, it
good.
sounds really nice, and I never heard of that game, honestly. And I really
Well,
need to look it up and see if I can get it to try it out.
I'm sure there's a lot of people in the comments that will talk about this game because I know that a lot of people played it. So again, give it a go. Unfortunately, I didn't find it available on any digital platforms.
Okay.
Google is your friend.
Okay. Yeah.
So Blade,
A
what are you
very
bringing
nice
us today?
friend. So I'm going to bring a I'm going to bring a game this week that I haven't played all that much. I remember playing it
Mhm.
a bit back then, but we had a comment in the last Couchisode
Okay.
asking for us to talk about a specific game. And this game is Fantastic Dizzy, or like it was known, the Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy. This game came out on
Okay.
a lot of platforms. I remember playing it on the NES and the PC. And the game was quite fun. You played the role of Dizzy. You were an egg, basically, with legs, arms, and you moved around. And it was like a platformer game, but not the typical one, because you had Dizzy, and he was vulnerable to every single enemy in the game. But you couldn't do
Mm.
anything to them. You couldn't attack them. You didn't have any attack. You just had to activate things in the game or use items to unlock certain situations that would get rid of the enemy so you could carry on with your adventure. The story was quite simple. You had an evil wizard in the game called Zax, if I recall right, and he cast a spell on the town where all the egg people lived. I think they were called the Yolk Folk. You get
The
the idea
yolk
there.
folk.
The Yolk Folk, yeah.
Because yolk is the yellow part of the egg, so the
Yeah,
yolk
yeah.
folk, yeah. Makes
And
sense.
he also kidnapped our girlfriend. She was called Daisy, if I recall right, and we set off to just help our friends and to rescue our girlfriend. This was the objective of the game. And it was
Mhm.
quite nice because you just had to solve the game without resorting to violence with your character. He was an egg, basically. And you couldn't tell him any jokes because it'd crack up laughing and that wouldn't be good. See what I did there again?
An egg that cracks up laughing.
Yeah, yeah. No, it wouldn't be very healthy for him to crack up. See what I did there again? Okay, I'll shut up now.
Wow, man.
That was,
Let me just look at me.
this was
Look at me.
so bad.
Man, that was perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
That was really really good.
I couldn't do anything perfect like that again.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
one of a kind. One
there
of a
was
kind.
a
I did.
curiosity about this game. That was the day and night cycle. It wasn't very common for you to see the games having cycles, and this one had you were going along the game would start getting darker or lighter as it was night or day, and it was awesome. And the game wasn't all that easy to complete because the puzzles were quite hard, and you could only carry 3 items at a time, so you had to keep solving things and just manage your inventory. But it was a lot of fun, and I recommend everyone who gets a chance to play it to just grab it and do it. I think it's coming out or already came out in the Evercade cartridges as the Oliver Twins collection. People should check it out. It's a very nice game.
I know the game. I mean, I haven't played it. I know the game because I mean, when you mentioned the egg with the legs out and what and the arms, I think it had arms, right?
Yeah,
Uh, okay, I do remember that, and I think I remember it for the Game Boy. I'm not sure if it was available on the Game Boy. Maybe I'm mistaken.
probably. Not sure.
It was my absolutely first console that I had was a Game Boy. That was the first thing, and it was just amazing. I
It was
remember
so
playing a
nice
lot of
back then.
Kirby's Adventures. God, what a game!
Oh
Anyways,
yeah.
good one for us to talk later on. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. I haven't really played it to see how good or bad it is. So I guess I'll take a look at it and people that already tried it, they can leave us some comments and tell us about it.
Yeah, just tell us what you think about it and suggest more games and even be a part of the couch. I think people haven't listened to us yet. Just send anything, a text, an audio, a video with voiceover, whatever you feel comfortable with. We'll just get you on the couch. You'll show up, you'll share your games with us, with everyone. Be a part of this. Don't make it our couch, it's everyone's couch. Come
And
join us.
and I've seen a lot of people on the comments talking about the games that they've played. So, guys, I mean, if you don't want to spend a lot of time, write 2 paragraphs, write
Yeah.
one line, whatever it is, we'll mention it, we'll bring it up to us, and it's your chance to show up here on the couch. I know we're not very important people, but we give value to our community and
Yeah.
you guys.
A
We
lot.
want you. Like the Uncle Sep. We
Yeah.
want you.
We want you. So,
So,
DJ, now we want
yeah.
you to talk about
Yes.
the game.
Yes. I will heed the call and I will talk about another game. So let's get back into the time machine and let's go back to 1996 and talk about a game called The Reaper. Not the Reaper as Reaper, but the Ripper as in Ripper. So, and you will understand why the difference is in the name of this game. So, The Ripper takes place in New York City in the year 2040. It opens with an investigation of a recent murder of a lady called Renee Stein, which is a third victim of a serial killer known as the Ripper. Although there is a name similarity, the modus, the operandis, or the MO of this killer was not actually similar to the well-known Jack the Ripper. The player assumes the role of Jake Quinlan, which is a reporter for the Virtual Herald, whom the Reaper sends messages to detailing his murders. This was also an act attributed to Jack the Ripper, the killer, although no letters have been proven to could be coming from him, but certainly reporters and detectives at that time were getting letters from someone that assumed to be Jack the Ripper, informing about the murders. Along with the police, whose investigation is headed by the detective Vincent Magnota, Quinlan is seeking the Ripper's true identity. This game has over 6 hours of full motion video scenes. So this was one of those 90s games that started using, the green screen, the chroma key, and the full motion videos.
And a lot of
And
CDs.
Correct. And the game was bound to be one of those adventure games that promised to bring, cutting edge technological advances as well as one of a kind gameplay for the genre. Um, Talking about the production of this game, there was no cutting costs on this game. If you just look at the cast that comes into this title, you have Christopher Walken. I mean, he needs no introductions. And if you don't know who Christopher Walken is, you are either too young or you've been living in a cave for the past 30 years. Also, it had Paul Giamatti that played Sergeant Hill in Saving Private Ryan. And you also had Karen Allen, which teamed up with Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones: The Raiders of the Lost Ark, and also on the latest installment of the franchise, which was the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in 2008. So great actors all along the board in this game. And if all of this wasn't already enough, the game starts immediately as soon as you open it, blasting off with the theme song from a great band called Blue Oyster Cult, with a very appropriate song that they have called "Don't Feel the Reaper." You know, I actually have an idea. I think I'm gonna pick up this one right here, and since we have these copyright strikes and DCMA and whatever, we can't really put the song here. So I'm gonna do something different for you guys. Just hold up.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Wow, DJ. I think I need to replace my underwear. What a performance there. I think I wet myself there.
You liked it? You
Oh
liked it?
yeah.
Huh? Huh?
That was
Huh?
really
Huh?
nice.
I actually had an idea to do something like this for another competition that we had, even before I was part of the Couch Buddies. But we'll maybe save that for a later story. Anyways, the game itself follows the principle, the principle of any criminal investigation game. As a reporter, you sent to murder scenes to investigate what happened, and thus getting clues on the actual identity of the killer. You have to solve point-and-click style puzzles, the ones that we are used to, and I'm particularly a fan of because it's my favorite genre of games. It's point-and-click. But they also introduced here short arcade-like sequences where you have to, shoot things out of the sky like spaceships and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see the introduction of these different mechanics in a game like this. As with any release of the 90s that is set on the 21st century, there's this cyberpunkish mood that is present and very highlighted with examples such as we can pick up video calls in a box that, looks more like a makeup box than actually a cell phone. Um, talking a little bit about the game itself on its general content. The Reaper can have the Reaper can be one of four possible suspects, which I'm not going to reveal the name so that you can play it and find it for yourself, and does have four possible endings. These are randomized every time you start the game, so every time you start the game there's going to be a different Reaper. The assassin or the identity of the Reaper is going to be a different person out of these four characters. This was actually one of the selling points of the game here. With each playthrough, certain clues and the actual identity of the Reaper vary, but through the bulk of the story, it remains pretty much unchanged, and the clues indicating the guilt of all these aspects appear regardless of who the killer is. So you are going to be set in an environment where you are going to get clues, and these clues will be pointing at each and every one of these persons. So it's going to be at a certain point, there's going to be a turning point in the game that you will be able to find, get closer on who the Reaper is. To conclude, despite that the good cast and the soundtrack, unfortunately the issue of this game lies exactly on the cliches of all this FMV adventure games that we've seen. The cast is excellent, but the acting is, sometimes mediocre, with some really good parts that they are really going into character, but some others it just looks like they are reading, random cards off of a queue. A guy behind them with a card saying what they have to say. In my personal opinion, I believe that the problem here is that it was a time where green screen and CGI were starting to be frequently used in games, and actors that were used in movie actors like this. I think they needed a really full-blown, movie set to get into character, rather than doing it in a single 20 square meter room full of green screens to,
Yeah.
behind them for them to be later adapted into CGI. Or it could have been that it was just poor directing here. Anyways, I guess in the end the main phrase is, and to paraphrase some really famous YouTubers that really do cover the genre, I think it's because of how bad it is that it becomes good. And that's that's the whole point about the Reaper and all these FMV games like Gabriel Knight, like Phantasmagoria, like Black Dahlia, which is excellent title also inside the criminal investigation part. just try it out. It's really worth it. It's not going to be perfect, but coming back to these stories and see how well they were done, because this is a great story here in The Reaper. I think it's going to be worth it, and you guys are going to like it.
No, and having multiple endings is quite nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, it was really one of as I said, one of the key selling points of the game. It's really interesting, and I mean, for me, honestly, what sold me the game was Christopher Walken. I mean, I
Yeah,
love
I'd
Christopher
imagine.
Walken. He's such an iconic, character,
Yeah.
and he has this unique way of talking that, if it wasn't for some acting mistakes that he made on this game, I'm sure that it's not because of his professional experience, because we know that he, he was a weirdly talented actor, but it was a really good game that you guys should really try, and leave us a comment on what you thought about it, if you agree with the acting part and with the voice acting and so on and so forth.
Yeah. I need to pick that one up again. I remember the game back then, but I don't remember playing it that much, honestly.
6 CDs, man.
Yeah.
6 CDs. Phantasmagoria had one more.
X-Files had 7, I think, also.
It was 7, yeah.
Yeah.
It was 7. So,
Nice.
Blade, what are you bringing us today after my excellent pearl here, this gem?
I am going to bring a specific game, and today specifically. I was going to talk about this later on, but today is a perfect day. Why? Because this game is being re-released today on Steam. It's a fantastic
Oh,
opportunity for everyone to try it out if you
okay.
like it. This game was simply amazing. It came back in '94. It was addictive and fun. It was a game called Battle Bugs.
Oh,
Oh yeah. And even
oh
people
yeah.
that didn't like strategy games usually liked this game. It was a lot of fun. There isn't
This was
much.
amazing.
Yeah,
This was a
it was fun.
strategy game with bugs, with like ants and
Yeah,
cockroaches and fire ants and light. It was amazing.
yeah. No,
I remember this.
it was a rather simple game. You had several. Your scenarios were around the house, in the common places you have in your house where you dropped food and everything. And
Yeah,
what was your
there was like
mission? You just needed to.
pieces.
Yeah,
I remember seeing pizza slices on the
yeah.
table and everything, and they were walking around
Yeah,
on top
and you
of
were
it.
just marking them up. There are two different objectives in every mission. You had either to eradicate the enemy, and you had to use specific bugs, and they all had advantages against a specific bug. You had a total of 22 bugs, I think, and there are two ways of winning a mission. Or either eradicating the others, like I said, or just conquering the food on the map. The way you conquer it was you get a bug close to it and the flag would start going up and you'd tag it for yourself. Then you'd move to the next piece. But the enemy could steal them from you, so many of the missions were just tag everything before the enemy can grab them back and you'd win. And you have some of the most iconic bugs in this game, like the rhinoceros beetle that was these huge bugs that looked like rhinocerons.
It
And
was a tank.
yeah, and you had the praying mantis, you had the versatile ants, you had a lot of bugs. The mosquitoes were fast as hell. I remember you sent them somewhere and then just take off slowly like a helicopter, then just zoom to the other point. They looked like flash. And they'd arrive there, but if you hit them once or twice, they'd die. They were very fragile. And you had the
Okay.
grasshoppers, the cockroaches. The cockroaches took a lot of damage. They were so annoying. But it was a
I
fun
I
game, and if you'd like to try it out, just look it up on Steam. It came out today again, and from the screenshots, it looks exactly the same. I haven't had the opportunity to try it out before we recorded, so wow, just
I'm gonna give it a go because I really like this game. I remember it very fondly.
yeah,
Um, because of the strategy. I think this was early 90s, I believe, and this was the
94.
time where, yeah, I think it was a time where we start. I mean, it's not that we're starting to see strategy games or RTS games, but RTS games were really starting to pick up
Yeah.
a real share of the market. I mean, I think a few years later, if I'm not mistaken, we had Command and Conquer. A few years later, maybe I don't know. I don't remember when Command and Conquer came out.
It was a
Sorry.
time where you got a lot of nice games. Command and Conquer, Dune, you got Warcraft. All those series just started
Oh yeah,
popping up,
yeah.
and there were a lot more.
but I think it was taking a lot more in terms of market share on the the game genre itself.
Yeah.
And I mean, as I said, I remember playing it quite fondly. I remember the pop tarts on the table. I remember the pizza
Oh, yeah.
slices. I remember the green flags being put on top of
Yeah.
them. I mean, it was just it
And
was
it has
just
this just
simply
weird
amazing.
multiplayer option where you'd play it hot seat, and it'd be like playing chess and just clicking there, and you'd swap to the other player, and he would give orders and click in, and then it was your turn. It was weird, but it was fun. It was a very fun game.
I presume we're talking about local multiplayer, so
Yeah.
no, because that was, I mean, internet at this time was, I mean, it was there, but only
Yeah, it
rich
was
people
there.
could
It
have it.
existed somewhere.
All right. I mean, excellent suggestions today from you. I'm gonna take on the one from oh God, I forgot the name of the egg guy. Dizzy. Sorry.
You
I'm
were
gonna take
Dizzy.
on that one because I didn't really play for it. And I think we're gonna wrap it up here for today, Blade. What do you think? Do you
Yeah.
want to say something to our beloved audience here that is with here today?
Of course. I
With
will
us?
repeat what I said earlier. Just don't forget, this is your couch also, not our couch alone. Just be a part of it. Feel free to send us anything you like and just take your seat on the couch, show us what you played, show us a bit of what you lived back then. It was awesome times for everyone, so just share a bit and bring the games that we don't know. We know a lot, and I mean a lot of games, but we don't know every possible game out there, and you know games that we certainly don't know or haven't even heard of. Just share them with us, share
Exactly.
them with everyone. Just feel free to do that. And another thing, just feel free to click that little red button down there and subscribe and leave us a like if you liked the video and a dislike if you didn't like. And we'll be back next week, right, DJ?
Yep, we'll be back next week, guys. We hope to see you back with us for another Couchisode. So, guys, stay safe and don't forget, game on. Signing out.
Game on, everyone. See you next week.